Okay, so I've just finished Final Fantasy's demo and I wanted to sit down and give my thoughts on it. Now, before we begin, let's understand where am I coming from. To be very honest, this generation, I've not been too happy about Square Enix management and its production problems, and that's the reason why I was not really excited about Final Fantasy VII. And when you look at Final Fantasy XV's release, which was unfinished, staggered, and botched, it does not inspire any confidence in Square Enix. So, with the release of Final Fantasy's demo, now we finally get to sit down and see what Square has been working on, and I got to say that the demo left me pretty impressed. But I'm still skeptical about this game for the reasons I will get into later. First, let's talk about what I like. And the very first thing that I want to talk about is the lighting. I know it's the dumbest thing to start with when you're judging a game, but seriously, the lighting here is god tier. I'm serious. There's something about its steampunk aesthetics that just grabs you. There has always been something very unsettling about Final Fantasy's world, which just gets accentuated with this new graphics and new lighting system. As you walk through the dimly lit dark industrial layout of the reactor, you just feel this uneasiness in its faint greenish bluish atmosphere. I don't think YouTube's compression is going to do any justice to it. You got to see it for yourself, but trust me, the lighting looks good. Although it is baked in and it's not utilizing any of those fancy ray tracing stuff, it just looks so mesmerizing that it reflects the magic of the artists behind the work. The in-game graphics also look almost cinematic, and the transition between cinematic sequences to the game is so fluid that there were few times I thought the cinematic is still going on. Some of the most iconic scenes from the original Final Fantasy VII have been faithfully recreated, like the scene of Cloud looking up at the reactor. All this just fills you with this nostalgic feeling of wonder. This is hands down probably the best looking Unreal Engine game on console right now. And you know what? Now that we're talking about Unreal 4, let's talk about the performance also. Now Square has ditched their Luminous engine, which they worked on for years for Final Fantasy 15 in favor of Unreal 4 engine. And Unreal 4 generally does not perform well on consoles. Mainly I think so because of CPU limitations. We have seen that Unreal 4 games are pathetic in terms of performance, or at least inconsistent in terms of performance. But I'm pleasantly surprised to see how well this game is optimized for PS4. And when you account for the amount of stuff that is going on in this game, from the complex animations to the high-res textures to complex level design to how the lighting behaves to the insane amount of particle effects that are at display, it is amazing that the game manages to hold almost consistent 30 FPS with no uneven frame pacing like Final Fantasy 15. There is no screen tearing, and they have an aggressive anti-aliasing solution which has been implemented on top of it. So yeah, the game looks great. And mind you, I played it on base PS4 and the game just looks and performs flawlessly. And this is not even the latest build. The demo version, mind you, is the same version that has been shown on show floors for months. So this is probably 2 to 3 builds prior to the final build of the game that you would be finally getting. Okay, enough. Let's talk about the game also. The thing I like is that when compared to Final Fantasy 15, which had these open areas, Final Fantasy 7 has these contained areas with a very linear progression path, which is nice, because that means it's going to be able to better capture the essence of the original game and will also be paced better than Final Fantasy 15, which for the most part filled you with a kind of sense of emptiness. Now, the story of Final Fantasy VII is really good, so I was not that worried about the story. There's not much Square can do to mess it up. Let's hope so. But what I was worried about was the combat, because it seems like they're going in for this real-time approach. And I'm pleasantly surprised that the combat felt really good. It strikes a nice balance between both worlds, and it feels like a natural evolution of a turn-based combat system rather than some contrived action-oriented approach that we see in Final Fantasy 15. You basically position yourself to attack, block and evade in real time while the ATB fills up. So once you have 1 or 2 ATB bars, you can then press X to enter into this semi-pause state to plan out your attacks, to use more advanced abilities and use potions and line up your combos. Even if you do not want to enter a pause state, you can still use L1 as a shortcut to quickly access your abilities. So you can play the whole game in real time if you want to. Now I know what you're thinking, that you can just button mash your way through. No. The game is surprisingly challenging. If you're not using your thinking faculties, you will not be able to get through this game. You need to manage your ATB resources efficiently. You need to prioritize your targets. Like for example, you need to get the dogs before you tackle the guards. Now, some of the targets will also have weaknesses that you need to exploit, like technology-based enemies that are more prone to lightning damage. You also need to choose the right modifiers, cycle between spells and potions. Basically, you need to find the efficient ratio between ADB and your spells and the damage. Plus, when you attack enemies constantly, you build up this pressure gauge, which once full will stagger them, giving you an opportunity to do more damage.
Let's finish this.
All this interplay between all these moving parts makes for a quite complex battle system. But you also need to be mindful of your positioning, because there's a good chance that if you're too far away from the enemy, then your chosen ability might just not land. So positioning becomes another aspect that you need to account for on top of the tactical selection of your abilities and your actions, which adds another welcomed layer of complexity. On top of that, you also have these special moves, like Cloud can shift between two modes, Operator mode and Punisher mode. In Punisher mode, Cloud moves slowly and is more open to incoming damage, but his attacks have a wider arc and do more damage to punish the enemies. And Cloud in this state is also going to counter any melee enemy that tries to attack him. While in Operator mode, he can deflect range attacks, but his swings are shorter and deal less damage. And these special moves are different for each character. You can also switch between characters on the fly, or you can choose to command them, giving you possibilities to combine attacks to spice up the battle. Though the camera sometimes does get in the way, or it's going to get stuck in these tight odd angles, breaking the flow of the combat. And personally, the ending boss fight of the demo felt too dragged on. And it was not like the boss had some creative patterns or it was challenging in creative ways. It's just that the boss would not go down. The boss felt too spongy. Also, the on-screen UI looks nice and clean and has a nice read. Though compared to that, the inventory UI looks very busy. There are too many unnecessary angles and lines, too much stylization going on. I just like the simple, no-nonsense inventory UI approach of the original game. And you will be spending a lot of time in this section, combining and managing and changing things, so it does matter. Now, there are obviously things that we still do not know about. We do not know whether they're going to be random encounters or not. We do not know about how weapons and items are going to work, how they will affect the game in the long run. Will we get new weapons that will replace the older ones, or will there be a way to modify and keep using early game weapons? Also, the spells will be unlocked by slotting materia, obviously, but we still do not know how customizable or flexible the materia system is going to be. And materia system formed a crucial aspect of the original Final Fantasy VII, so getting it right is extremely important. Right now, all I can say for surety is that the battle animations look great, the combat feels crunchy and responsive, and the sound design is excellent and complements the animations. The character animations are also amazing. All the characters look great and they are expressive and emotive. The voice acting seems to be competent, and best part is the voices fit the characters. They sound almost exactly how I imagined them to sound in my mind back when I was reading those text bubbles in the original game.
You do realize what Mako is, don't you? Mako is the lifeblood of our world. The planet bleeds green like you and me bleed red. The hell you think's gonna happen when it's all gone, huh? Answer me! You gonna stand there and pretend you can't hear the planet crying out in pain? I know you can!
You really hear that?
Damn straight I do!
Get help.
Jessie, also for just a sporting cast, seems to be more fleshed out, even though she comes across as trying too hard to make something happen with Cloud rather than just having a crush on him or just being fascinated by him.
So, you know Tifa, right? It's not really my business, but are you guys close?
Cloud does come across as this mysterious character that you do not know much about, but you can make out that he has a long history behind him. Everyone, at least in the demo, looks amazing, and the companions are the best part of any Final Fantasy game, and getting them right is extremely important. Though overall the demo really left me impressed, but I'm still skeptical. Maybe I'm getting old, or maybe the AAA industry in general has made me cynical, but I kind of lack confidence in the new Square Enix right now. If it was Capcom, I could be confident about it. Square has just messed way too many times this generation to give me some confidence, and same with Ubisoft. But that aside, the biggest problem with Final Fantasy VII is that they are breaking up the complete original game. I don't know, something about it just rubs me the wrong way. The first part will just cover the Midgar part of the game, and they say it's going to be 40 to 50 hours. But the Midgar section of the original game was barely 10 hours long. So are they going to stretch out the game, or they're going to add new story content? I really do not know. And when it comes to adding new story content to a classic, it just makes me restless. They might just mess it up. I mean, we're talking about Square. But even if they stretch it out, then are they going to leave us with cliffhangers? I mean, Final Fantasy VII is a complete standalone story. Breaking it up in episodes that are not going to come months apart but years apart from each other just does not seem right. Let's see what happens, but the demo gives me some hope and I actually enjoyed it. So let's see. This was Cankicks. You're watching Mixed Up. Don't forget to like this video. You can use the comment section below to let us know about your thoughts, and do subscribe to us. Have a good day.